Have you ever just looked at a company or a hospital or even a space agency and thought, how on earth do they do it? How do they get so much done so incredibly well? Well, it's not magic. There's actually a science to it. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain and unlock its secrets. So let's start with a little puzzle. It's a classic scenario, but it really gets to the very heart of what it means to be truly effective, not just busy. Okay, picture this. You've got two factories. Factory A pumps out 10,000 units. Factory B, on the other hand, only makes 8,000. Now, at first glance, you'd probably say Factory A is the winner, right? I mean, they made more stuff. But the real story is in what it took to get there. And here's the twist. Factory B is actually twice as productive as Factory A. So how is that even possible? What's the secret metric here that completely flips the script and reveals who's really winning? Well, the answer is all about understanding one crucial difference. A difference that separates the organizations that are just busy from the ones that are truly the best. You see, it's not just about what you make. It's all about how you make it. First up, let's get our terms straight. Production, that's the easy one. It's just the total number of things you create. It's the 10,000 units from Factory A. It's purely about volume, the final count.
But here it is. This is the secret metric, productivity. And this is a whole different ballgame. It's not just your output. It's the ratio of your output to your input. It's all about how much bang you get for your buck, for every hour of work, for every dollar you spend.
So let's just crystallize this difference. Production is the what. Productivity is the how efficiently. A perfect example of this in the real world is Toyota. They might not always make the most cars in a given year, but their productivity, what they get out of every single employee and every resource, is absolutely legendary. Okay, so if productivity is the big goal, how do you actually get there? This isn't about luck or just telling people to work harder. Industrial engineers have a whole systematic toolkit to analyze and optimize, well, pretty much everything. Let's dig into it. You know, it really boils down to three powerful actions. First, you have to measure the work to actually understand what's happening. Second, you improve the method, the process itself. And third, you design the entire system. We're talking the physical layout, the workflow, the whole shebang for maximum efficiency. All right, let's start with measuring. You're probably thinking, you can't just follow a doctor or a bank teller around with a stopwatch all day, right? That would be crazy. So how do you get good, accurate data in complex jobs? Well, the answer is a really clever technique called work sampling. Instead of watching someone constantly, you just take a whole bunch of random, split-second observations over a period of time. Do that enough, and you get this incredibly accurate statistical snapshot of how time is really being spent. It's perfect for finding those hidden bottlenecks. Now, for more repetitive tasks, you've got the classic time study, but it's way more sophisticated than just hitting start and stop. The formula for what's called standard time takes the time you actually observe, and then it adjusts it with a rating factor for the worker's pace. Are they going faster or slower than average? And crucially, it adds an allowance for things everybody needs, like breaks and rest. The whole point isn't to crack the whip. It's to find a fair, sustainable standard for how long a job should really take. Okay, so once you've got your measurements, it's time for step 2, improvement. And this brings us to what is basically the golden rule of making things better. You just cannot fix what you don't truly understand. This is where something called method study comes in. It's a super logical 7-step process. You select a job to study, you record every single tiny detail about how it's done, and then you examine it. You ask why over and over again. From that deep understanding, you develop a better, smarter way. Then you define it, install it, which means you train people on the new process, and make sure it sticks. It's a literal roadmap to a better way. And then we get to one of my absolute favorite concepts, value engineering. Just look at that beautiful equation. Value equals function divided by cost. This isn't just about slashing costs, not at all. It's a powerful way of thinking. It forces you to ask, how can we get this same function for way less money? Or, for the money we're spending, how can we get way more function? It's innovation baked into a formula. So you might be wondering, does all this theory, all these formulas and steps, does it actually work out there in the real world? Oh yeah. The results are absolutely staggering. Let's look at the proof. Let's go back to Toyota. By being relentless with work study and lean manufacturing, they cut waste in their processes by 50%. I mean, think about that. They eliminated half of the wasted time, effort, and material. That's incredible. Or let's jump to a more recent example. Tesla's Gigafactory. Through insane levels of automation and process design, they achieved a productivity rate 3 times higher than a conventional car plant. 3 times? That's a complete game changer. And what about that value engineering stuff? Does it pay off? Well, General Electric saved $300 million in 1 year, just from its value engineering programs. That's the kind of impact we're talking about when you systematically hunt for better value. And you know, this way of thinking isn't just for making cars or appliances. Look at India's space agency, ISRO. They have a mission success rate of 99.8%. That is almost unheard of reliability, and it comes from a deep, rigorous commitment to systems engineering, managing every single piece of an insanely complex puzzle. We're talking literal rocket science. So when you zoom out, you realize this is so much more than just a bunch of tools and techniques. At its core, it's a mindset. It's a smarter, more systematic way of looking at any system, any process, and just asking that simple question, how can we make this better? You know, there's a saying that I think just nails it perfectly. Industrial engineering is the science of common sense, made systematic. It's about taking those gut feelings we all have, like, this is taking too long, or there has to be an easier way to do this, and applying a real, structured, scientific framework to actually solve the problem. So, if you walk away with anything today, let it be these 4 things. 1. Focus on productivity, not just production. It's about efficiency. 2. Be systematic. Measure, improve, and design your processes. 3. The goal is always to eliminate waste so you can create more value with less. And finally, number 4. This mindset works everywhere. It's not just for factories, you can apply it to your daily routine. And that's what I want to leave you with. Forget about the giant factories and space missions for a second. Think about your own life. What's one process? Maybe it's how you make your coffee in the morning, or organize your email, or plan a project. What's one thing you could look at with an engineer's eye and make just a little bit better, a little bit faster, or a little bit easier? Once you start looking, you'll see the possibilities are absolutely everywhere. Thanks so much for watching.